Hi, and welcome to Three Questions with. My guest today is my friend Don from Don Sign Tech. Hey, Don, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kevin. Good to see you.
So, Don, I want to just ask you a couple questions today because sometimes I feel that people, when they're looking at signs, might be comparing the proverbial apples and oranges. So, what's included in an estimate for a sign?
Well, usually you have the cost of your sign is on there and the cost of your install. Then if there's any extras like permitting and things like that, they should be listed. It's not a given that the sign company will pull the permit. Sometimes you have to make sure. The important thing is to look at the details, make sure that you're not comparing an Alia panel sign to a PVC sign. It's a big difference in cost. You also need to make sure to see what's in the install. If it's not listed, ask for information. We recently came across a situation where a client ordered a sign from somebody and then the installer wasn't available, so they asked me to install, and it turns out that the legs to the sign were included in the install. So I got a sign with no legs. And I ended up having to pay extra to get those legs back.
So, Don, what's typically not included then? Is there something that may not be included you got to think about?
If you have a logo that you need designed, that's not usually included. Usually your sign layout, about half an hour's worth of work will be included in the cost of your sign. So if you don't have a logo design, that's not included. That's usually billed out separately as design time. Another thing that may not be included is hardware. If the customer is putting the sign up themselves, unless they specifically ask for the right hardware, that won't be included. Permits are usually not included in any pricing unless listed separately. Same thing with things like historic commission or design review board. Those things aren't generally included either.
So what's the advice to avoid those costly mistakes? I know in the past you've told me things like making sure you know what type of sign you can hang on your building. You know, people have gone and ordered signs, and and you've also brought up historical. You know, when you get in historical districts, that can change a lot of the rules. So how do people stop from making silly mistakes?
Well, know your lease agreement, first of all. Make sure that what you want to put on the building is allowed in the area, that the landlord will allow it on the building. Find out what the building's made of. There's a lot of times we'll go on site and think that we've got a good solid background to mount a sign onto and get out there and find out we've got a flimsy piece of aluminum with nothing backing it. You can't hang a 50-pound sign on that. Asking the right questions before you sign the lease for the district that you're in. I get a lot of people ask me for illuminated signs in historic districts, and they're not allowed. Sometimes the sign company knows the area and they can give you that advice, but realistically, before you sign a lease on a location, make sure that you're aware of what you are and are not allowed, because some franchises are very specific about what you have to put up. And if it's not allowed in that district, then you've got a problem. You've signed a lease and your franchise is demanding that you put up a certain type of sign, and it will never happen. The other thing is distance. Know how far you're going. Make sure that your sign company does a site survey beforehand. If they don't, they could get out there and find out that, the sign they thought was a certain size it's not going to fit. Architect's drawings aren't always scaled. And so if you're relying on an architect's drawing and you haven't done a site survey of the finished surface, you could go to install something that's not going to fit. Your sign could be too big to fit to the space that's been allowed for it. You may end up having to crowd letters, and that just looks awful. So make sure that a site survey is done, that you get as much information from the landlord as possible, as much information from the town as possible, or be willing to pay somebody else to do that for you. You have to take into consideration traffic and weather. Those are all things that might slow down a trip because you're paying by the hour for them to travel there, not just the time spent putting up the sign, but getting there, setting up, tearing down, and coming back. There are so many surprises that can come out of nowhere. We recently ran into an issue with the city of Boston with a permit. We started the application process in August thinking we had lots of time, and we were given bad information. We were given the wrong forms to fill out, and they got jammed in the system. It couldn't be released. I couldn't ask any questions. Nobody could answer my questions. Had to start the whole process all over again in December. And we actually got the permit right before, we actually got the permit 2 days before the scheduled install, because we had to go back and forth to Boston 4 times to get this pushed through the system. And the city was wonderful. They were very helpful. But normally that would have taken an additional 60 days. So the client was pretty thrilled, but that was $1,000 permit cost with all the running
Wow.
around and all the errors that were made. And when I quoted it for her, I quoted her at $1,000 and said, that's, worst case scenario. If everything goes wrong, this is what it's going to cost. And so she didn't get hit with any extra fees. But we couldn't reduce the cost of the invoice either because of all the work that went into it.
So Dawn, how can people reach out to you? How can they learn more?
Okay, so we have a website, Dawn Sign Tech Inc. DawnSignTechInc.net. They can email us. All of our email addresses are on the site, as well as my email address, dawn@DawnSignTechInc.net. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter, or you can call us at 978-208-0012. And we always welcome visitors. We like to show you what we do. That's at 33 Flagship Drive in North Andover, Massachusetts.
Awesome. So Dawn, really appreciate you taking a few moments to jump on the show. And so thank you. You're just watching 3 Questions with Dawn from Dawn Sign Tech. For more information about New England B2B, visit our website at newenglandb2bnetworking.com.